name's Craig Schulze, the founder of the One Shop Movement, and we are in my lifetime, the biggest crisis that we've seen. And I have done business and did it really, really tough through the global financial crisis. And, we moved forward from that from the best part of a decade ago now. And we're in another unbelievably uncertain times in Australia at the moment. It's 31st of March, and we're all basically in isolation and nearly a full complete lockdown. So it's nearly impossible for people to do business and so on and so on. So I want to put together some of the great high level conversations that I've had and give as much value as I can to help people do business. If you've been following the One Shop Movement podcast, I've interviewed 30 of the biggest business leaders in the world. So what I started to do over the last week is pull out some really valuable parts of the conversations that you can benefit from right away. I think in business right now, one of the number one things that you should be doing is be more vocal and get out there and improve marketing and sales and try and bring people through the door, or at least build your database for when the economy starts moving again. You can be prepared the best you can to really catapult and grow at an exponential rate. Don't sit back and wait until the dust settles and then come out and start again. You start today. So what I want to give to you as a bit of a free gift for me is some conversations around sales, marketing, and digital marketing. And I've put together an hour and a half of conversation with 3 people that I do a lot of business with, a lot of work with, and I would call them the best of the best in their industry. So we have one digital marketing strategist, Zane Bassick, who's worked with some of the biggest thought leaders in the world running multi-million dollar campaigns. So we spent 30 minutes talking to him about digital marketing and digital marketing strategy. Also, so that's a real macro level to give you some real thought-provoking ideas of something that you can implement. Then we go to more of a micro level, a more technical level, and we talk to Facebook advertising guru Alex Jackson, who runs all my Facebook advertising and does multi-million dollar campaigns for biggest leaders in the world. So we spend 30 minutes talking about the nuances and the techniques that you can do in your Facebook advertising campaign. Then we move to Mr. Peter Lakovic, who is without doubt one of the best sales coaches in the world. Now this training here, I should be selling, it's that good. But we spend 30 minutes where I question him about how to get better at sales, things that you need to look at, referral strategies, you name it. So this hour and a half training is my gift to you. Just as a starting point, I pulled together my team, my resources, my leaders that I work with as advisor and consultants in my business, and I've asked them to share some of their important, valuable tips so we can go out and share the message to as many people as we possibly can. So we're going to start off at that macro level with Zane Bassick talking about digital marketing strategies.
We've done strategies for some very big names, all around the world, and it's just been incredible because I'm able to work with the type of clients that I want to work with. We're doing high-level digital marketing, sales every single day, and we pride ourselves in having the very best world-class marketing and sales strategies in the world.
Wow. Yeah, and I have been working with you closely for the last 18 months, and it's been an incredible journey for me just seeing how that world unfolds. But for the everyday average person, what is a marketing funnel and a digital strategy, if you want to put it like that? Just in if you want to explain what that is, because the word is thrown out there quite a lot. And for the everyday average person, the word marketing funnel is just goes way over their head.
Yeah, sure. So when most people think about marketing, they think about, well, how can I get more people to see my stuff? How can I get more people to like my Facebook page or engage with me, in some way. And those things are great, but I consider those things awareness type of marketing, like kind of just getting your face or your name out there type of thing. When we're talking about marketing funnel, we're talking about the point in which somebody actually starts to express an interest in becoming a customer, right? So a marketing funnel, all it is, it's just a step-by-step process, a series of steps that lets someone go ahead and enter your world. It lets somebody register their interest in working with you, and it kind of walks them through all the little steps that they need to become a customer. So getting a customer is not just one shot, boom, now they're a customer. There's a process, right? Usually for every business involved. And if you work backwards, it's like, well, what do you normally do when someone goes to become a customer? You might give them a phone call, right? You might chat to them on the phone, and then they become a customer off the back of that. That's funnel. It's step one, step two, right? There's 2 steps in that process. You can trace it back even further. Let's say before the call. What happens before the call? Or maybe they, check out a blog that you've written, or maybe they download a piece of content that you've created. Maybe they go through a free training that you've put together, and then they do the call, and then they become a customer. That's a 3-step process. Now, it can be 2 steps, it can be 3 steps, it could be 50 steps, right? You can have many different areas of how you go ahead and you get customers in. It kind of becomes a little bit scientific, right, in that way. So what we do then in terms of a marketing funnel is we figure out what's the best step-by-step process that you can possibly use to go ahead and get customers in one way, in one that's going to be predictable for you, that you know that you can rely on again and again and again because it's scientific. 2, it's going to be profitable for you, right? So you know that you can potentially run advertising, you can continue to do it to grow your business over time. And 3, it's going to allow you to scale, right? You need to be able to run it at a high degree of scale because you want to grow your business. So if you create a great marketing funnel, it should have all of those 3 key elements, and it's nothing but a step-by-step process that you've just refined, tweaked, and it works.
And for me, you often talk, I guess like for sales is such a complex, there's so many different elements in there, and we've talked about, say, problem-aware marketing versus solution-aware marketing. Do you want to explain a bit about what they both mean?
Yeah, sure. See, what most people think is what most people are doing right now when it comes to marketing is they're marketing to people that, in theory, already know that they need them, right? If you think about your website, what is your website? Your website's like a brochure. It's like, hey, this is who we are. It's what we do, all of that type of stuff. And the only person that's going to go ahead and look at that and read all of that and be like, yep, that's the thing that I'm looking for, is a person that's already looking for it, right? That person is what we call solution aware, right? They know that what they're looking for. And a person that's solution aware is going to resonate with a website. But guess what? Like, they're also going to be competing you against all your competition. They're going to be comparing, both of you. And that's what most people are after in their marketing. Like, I'm looking for people that, want consulting, or I'm looking for people that want coaching, or, that want to buy my t-shirts, right? They're looking for solution-aware people. But there's a whole other group of people over here that most businesses are leaving completely untapped. And it's people that are problem-aware. Now, everyone's got problems. You kind of can't live life, without problems. No matter where you are, at your stage of life, you could be a multi-millionaire, but you still got problems. It's kind of like it's a human fact, right? It's just a fact of nature. That group of people, the biggest pie is the problem-aware people. Problems and desires, it kind of all falls into there. And if you can somehow create your marketing process, your funnel, or your marketing to go ahead and target those problem-aware people, and then introduce them to the solution and convince them that your solution is the best, bar none, making it so they don't have to look around, they just know straight away. That's the makings of a really, really powerful, really great marketing campaign.
And what would you say, like, I guess, things change quickly. In 2020, what would you say are key things that are working right now in the digital space or sales and marketing in general?
Yeah. Well, it's a big question. It's pretty broad, but the thing is, when it comes to like what's going to be really important right now is more personalization. You've got to combine whatever marketing efforts you're doing with as much personalization as possible. There's a lot of people that are advertising right now. There's a lot of different businesses that you're competing with. Facebook's really competitive. YouTube's really competitive. Google's really competitive. Everywhere's competitive. So how do you stand out? Well, there's only if you're let's assume everything is the same. Your prices, your product, all of that's the same. The only way that you can possibly stand out more is by being more personal, more engaged with the customer, right? So if at any point you have the opportunity to do a phone call that they might not be expecting, do that. If there's a way for you to send them something personal in the mail, do that. The more personal you can be, the better your campaigns are going to work. And all the other stuff, like the advertising, the funnels, all of that stuff is working right now, and it has worked last year and the year before, and it will continue to work. It's just about being better than the competition at the end of the day. Yeah.
Cool. And what would you say are the key elements? You've built multi-million-dollar funnels for world-class coaches. What would you say are the key elements or the keys to success in a multi-million-dollar funnel or campaign?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you need a great offer, and maybe not even just one offer. You need a couple of really great offers, right? We talked about the competition. Like there's a lot of competition out there, and coaching is a very interesting space because there's so many coaches coming out, right? There's health coaches, there's business coaches, there's meditation coaches, there's many different types of specialists or experts in their field coming out, and they're kind of doing marketing and competing for people, right? So how do you stand out? Well, you need to have a really valuable offer. Okay, you need to be able to, the customer needs to be able to see that offer and be like, yeah, that's exactly, what I'm looking for, that the value is so clear for what I have to give you. They might have to give you their name and email. And so you put a really great offer together just for the name and email, and they'll go ahead and grab that if it's a great offer. If you're selling something, it's going to be better and more valuable than everything else. So that's step one. Have a really, really great offer. That's kind of like a no-brainer. It needs to be easily understood, right? It needs to be clear that there's value in that offer. And finally, it needs to be presented well, right? And that's kind of like the element that a lot of people don't talk about. A lot of people think this is all marketing is, just presenting things. But it's not. You have to have the great offer, and you need to present it well. How do you present it? Well, you talk about it. You have a great ad with a video. If it's a book, you're scrolling through the book. You're expressing what it is. You're explaining how they can use it and get an instant type of result, right? Because that's what they care about. They care about the result. So that's all the explanation, around the offer. And so from there, you need multiple layers, right? You need a great free level offer. You need a great offer to get people started. That's what you need. So in the case of a coach, it might be, let's say I'm a health coach, right? I've put together an amazing book. It's a complete program for 2020 with everything you need to go ahead and lose 20 kilos this year without sacrificing all the things that you love to eat and without having to kill yourself in the gym, okay? Because it's built on science and it's built on the intermittent fasting method, right? There's a unique method to it. That's this book. Let me scroll through it, Craig. What do you think? You're interested? All you got to do is give me your name and email. Normally we're charging $97 for this. We're giving it away to you for free. Do you want it? You say yes. You download the book, name and email. Next step, it's like, great, Craig, I can see that you've downloaded that book. It looks like you're going to take your fitness goals very seriously in 2020. And I'll tell you what I'm doing right now is like, you've got the book, but what you need to do is you need to tailor it. You need to map it around your unique life. And what I can do over 30 minutes with you is tailor this book, tailor this plan and this program around your life in the next 30 minutes. And you have a complete plan. Plus, I'll give you a sweet app that you can use to track everything completely for free. Now, normally these calls, because they're my time, they're valued at $500. Today, once again, it's completely free. Or instead of free, it's $50 or, whatever the amazing discount is. Two great offers, two-step process. As an example, but it's what you need to do.
Cool. And look, I'm firing questions at you here, Zane, because, one thing I want to get out of these podcasts is some really high-class education. And, I've had incredible sales trainers on here. I've had the #1 LinkedIn guru on here. And, I'm biased because I work with you closely and I've seen what you've done with other people, and your advice and guidance in this area is quite, it's next level. So, I am just churning question after question after
I'm
question.
happy to take them. Yeah.
So let's I guess, put some context around the scenario. You just gave a little bit of an example there. If you were, you've got someone that's come to you and, they're a health coach or a fitness coach or something like that. What are you doing first with them? Then what are you building, and what, your results? So what would you say your process to building a funnel is, and what should that look like?
Sure. We talked about the offers, right? We talked about those two stages of offers. Now, depends on like what you want to do is you want to start backwards. It's a bit counterintuitive, but this is definitely the right way to do things. I've built hundreds of these things. Normally, when we start work with a business or a business owner, we say, "Oh, what do you sell?" And they might say, "Well, I've got this coaching program. It's $500 a month, and it goes for 12 months." And you're just like, "Okay, great. That's a reasonably high ticket offer, monthly sort of setup. That's what we're beginning with." Why? Well, because that already exists. They already know what that is. They know what they're trying to sell. They have an idea of how many clients they want to get, how many sales they want to get of that product. Like, all right, great, that exists. Is there any way that we can improve that? Should we be charging more? And that's one thing that a lot of people are scared to do. It's just like, you can add more value to something so easily and charge more for it and change the entire look of your marketing and your business. But maybe should we be charging more? Is there anything that we can add to this to make it better? Let's have a look at this one product and compare it in the market. Once we know that it's unique, it's great value, and we know that we can sell it, there's actually a market for it, that's great. That exists as the final point of our funnel, okay? So then we ask ourselves, well, how are we going to sell it? What are we going to do? Are we going to sell it purely online? Are we going to sell it through a phone call? And typically, if you're selling something in the $1,000, $2,000, $10,000, $20,000 range, or it's what we call high ticket, you want to do it on a phone call. Well, why? Because you get the personal interaction with the customer. You allow them to ask questions. They might be a little bit skittish or a little bit wary of spending so much money on something. So they need somebody to talk to. They need that personal touch. And so typically you have the phone call. And the phone call is a staple, right? Like we've been calling and doing sales calls for decades right now, but there's ways to do them better than and properly, right? There's ways to do proper sales strategy calls. So typically we have a sales strategy call embedded to sell something like a high ticket offer. If you don't have a high ticket offer, maybe you should consider getting one. A lot of business owners are like, "Oh, I sell a $100, $200 type of course," and that's fine. But the big growth in the big business is in the high ticket offers, right? So typically then we've got the phone call for most business owners because it's easy to set up. We just have to show them how they can go ahead and close. And then once we've got those two steps, we've got an end product, we've got a phone call, which, by the way, we consider it to be a product. A phone call is a product, right? Because it's something the customer needs to do. They need to trade their time and maybe even their money if you're charging for the phone call, but usually their time, to go ahead and get an outcome. They get personal time with somebody. It's a product in every way that you look at it. So we've got the actual couple $1,000 product or $500 per month product. We've got the phone call step or product. And then we just need something to start collecting leads, something to get people into the funnel, into the thing. So then we may have something for free. We may have like a free book, a free training, a free guide. And once you have that built out, working backwards, the idea is every stage should help you sell the last thing, right? Because you've started with the last thing. You started with the $500 product. It's like, okay, well, what do we need to do in terms of phone call to sell that? Great. And then in terms of getting people to look at this phone call or getting them just in to the funnel so they can start booking these phone calls, what do we need to create here? And so what we've created here sells the phone call, which sells the program. Right, it's why you want to work backwards.
Cool. And I guess just just thinking while we're talking there, in regards to like a lot of your strategy to get eyeballs is often built around paid traffic. What's a couple of things people should be doing if they were building their audience with free traffic?
So the difference between paid and free. The paid traffic is a really easy way to go ahead and get instant eyeballs, right? If you build a great funnel, the idea is you would spend a little bit of money, but you'd make sure that you get it back because you can track your numbers along this process, these steps. But because things are quite competitive and some business owners aren't willing to exclusively rely on just advertising, they want to go and create content, right? And the great thing is that the content can support the advertising. Like I'd recommend people do both. If you have great content, then the people that watch your content, you can serve them with ads through retargeting. If you don't know what the retargeting is, definitely worth looking into. But then of course, the better your content, the more people that see that content, because you'll get more clicks, the algorithm will support you, and then the better your ads will run. So they kind of like work in unison, right? What can we do to get free traffic? We can just create great content, right? And there's many content marketing experts. I exist more on the advertising side of things, but to make great content, I recently watched a really great presentation by a fellow called Billy Jean. Billy Jean is marketing is his name, and he basically listed all the most highest engagement types of content that happen on Facebook and Instagram. And number one on Facebook and Instagram, particularly Instagram, was butt cheeks. It's pretty funny, right? But like, apparently most people can't scroll through Instagram for 10 seconds without seeing some, bikini clad model or something like that. A shot from behind or that type of thing. Why? Well, because it gets a lot of engagement, right? And then Instagram promotes it because it wants to keep people on the platform. So what he said is like, your content has to be better than butt cheeks. It's got to be better than butt cheeks, right? Like you've got to be able to get more engagement than butt cheeks. So in terms of what that looks like for your industry, only you will really know, but there's a couple of things that just really engage people, right? And those are when you support their heroes. So if you know that, your audience loves or hates President Trump, is there a way that you can apply that to what you do? Like, let's say you're a business coach. Trump's failing to support businesses, right? And you're targeting business owners, and they hate Trump. And you know that, right? So that's going to be more engaging than butt cheeks because you're either supporting their hero or you're basically supporting their beliefs, right? So these things like that are interesting to business owners. And there's a bunch of other little tactics, like make sure that your videos are really engaging at the beginning, and make sure your copy and sounds great and that it seems like a unique offer. All those things make great content marketing. So if you've got that great content marketing and you've got great advertising, they should work hand in hand, like I mentioned. But then, like if you're just selling a high ticket offer and you're a coach or a consultant, you've got a couple $1,000 program, there's no reason why you can't do outreach as well. Outreach is a completely free way to go ahead and get clients, right? You could go to LinkedIn and create an awesome LinkedIn outreach strategy where you just go ahead and you introduce yourself, you offer them something, an exact sort of way, exact funnel that you would do on Facebook ads, but you kind of just do it personally. You do that outreach method. You can do cold emails. Cold emailing is amazing for business owners that are looking for B2B clients. So many different, organic outreach methods as well. A good marketing process should first focus on one. Let's say you just get really good at advertising. That's your game. And then once your advertising is on point, you've got your ads set up, that your ads are converting, to cold audiences, it's able to get you leads, then go ahead and invest some time in content marketing. That's a great idea. And then while you're doing that, do some outreach on the side, because those two things will run. You just got to create the content and post it. The advertising will run. It's you have to manage it, obviously, but you can get an agency. But it's not going to. You can, in theory, once you've got the product and everything systemized, do all of these things and still have enough time.
And you just touched on one thing that and you might have a little hack or a tool here that the audience can have a look at. What's your tip, secret tool for getting good copy? Like, is there what do you go and use the search engines to see what's hot? And what's the key to writing a good headline?
So copy is what I would consider to be one of, if not the single most powerful, most useful, wealth generating, scalable business skill set that you can ever really have, because it's just about getting across a message through the written word. That's really what copy is. And so there's many ways to do that. Different people have different ideas of what great copy is, but there seems to be certain commonalities between everybody that we agree on. One is that the language needs to be easily understood. Great copy isn't technical. It's not long sentences. It's not trying to sound really smart. None of these things make for great reading. And what most businesses fail to do is position their writing, the copy on their website, the copy on their pages to their customer. They talk about themselves all the time, like, we are the most industrious law firm, and it kind of it goes on in a long-winded way. And so it's about being simple, right, and easily understood. There's a great app for that. It's called the Hemingway app, right? The Hemingway app. And what it does is you can put your text right now. You can go and grab your website text, your landing page text. You can put it in that app, and it will tell you at what reading level is required for someone to easily understand the writing on your pages or on your website. Okay, so this is pretty crazy. There was a study done quite a long time ago. I forget the exact details of it, but the copy or the writing on your websites and in your marketing that converts the best is at a 4th grade reading level. So a person who's in 4th grade should be able to understand your writing extremely quickly and easily. That's simple, like very simple copy, right? Because it doesn't need to be complex to get across a message. You should be able to skim read it, like just read through it quickly while half awake, in the morning, and you should be able to feel the impact of the words, right? So a Hemingway app, you're able to put your text in there, and it'll tell you what grade reading level your copy is, and it'll give you suggestions on how you can go ahead and reduce that. It's just about making the sentences simpler, shorter. It's about using simpler words. It's going to highlight all of that for you. That's really great. And if you want to learn how to write copy, you want to do it yourself, great program I would recommend is a program called Copy Hour. Copy Hour is I believe there's a free portion to it, but it's also paid. It will give you a challenge, I think, every single week that you can go ahead and complete. And yeah, just gradually get better and better at writing great copy.
And if you've been tuning into this episode, some of the nuggets here of gold that Zane has shared have been quite profound. And rewinding about 3 minutes ago, he said copywriting is super critical for your success in business. So you want to develop that skill, even if you're just writing on Facebook or sending emails out to your list. Improving your copywriting skills is going to improve your business and sales. So thanks for that, Zane. What are the common mistakes that you would say you see the most with people, that really are trying to do it themselves?
The copy or just the marketing of their
Everything
business?
in marketing in general.
Yeah. They spread themselves too thin. Like they believe that they need to be on every social media platform. They need to be constantly posting. They need to be creating blog posts, and doing many different things at the same time. And these things are great. They're great if you've got the advertising side of things handled, right? Because then the more content that you create, the better your ads perform. That's when doing that is great. But most people start with that because they're looking for a cheap and easy way to market their business, to grow their business. And the fact is, look, spending money makes money if you know how to do it. You know how to do it right. If you're great if you understand how to run advertising, you've got a great business together, you've got a great offer, you should have a situation where you're able to put money in and get money back out, right? But most people are spreading themselves too thin. They're just creating all this sort of stuff because that's what they think that they need to do. And no one's been there to tell them. It's like, if you're not going to run ads and you're just going to, use traditional free marketing methods to grow your business, you need to get really good at one thing, like really, really good. There's some great businesses out there that have just built their business off blog posts, like literally blog posts. And they make sure that their posts on a topic are SEO optimized. They make sure that their posts on a topic are longer and more comprehensive than all the other ones. They make sure that they actually answer the question the person might be searching for when they hit that blog post. That's what it takes to grow your business organically, right? You need to kind of focus on one thing if you're going to do it yourself. And you're going to create content and you're going to play the long game. Just focus on one thing. Get really good at writing great blog posts. Get really good at doing LinkedIn, LinkedIn outreach. Get really great at running webinars or whatever it is that you want to do. Whatever your skill set is, find your superpower, find your skill set. Are you great on video? Are you great with writing? And just nail and double down in on that one skill set. Get some business, get some traction through that. Then look to get other people to handle the other stuff for you. Get an agency to run your ads for you. Get an expert to do your SEO for you, right? That sort of stuff is how you should be thinking when it comes to marketing.
And in regards to, I guess with marketing and branding, some people I think fail often because they try and be everything to everyone. What do you think? Or how important is it to identify your avatar or your real true target market?
So important, incredibly important. And along with that, it's important to not be afraid of being confrontational, not being afraid to kind of like say no, to people that aren't your avatar or that aren't your market. And all of this just comes and applies itself even to something like your brand, right? A great example, Apple versus PC, right? You've got those iconic ads where you'd have a PC come in and is all dressed up in a suit and he's like, oh, I'm a PC, I do Excel spreadsheets. And Apple comes in as this young guy, maybe like a flannel shirt with a notebook, and he's just like, I'm a Mac, I like being creative. And they've kind of like had that polarizing image. They're not after the Excel, business owner person. They're after the young creative, and they're not afraid to own that, right? So they know who their avatar is. By saying no to some people, chances are that the people that you really want are going to be like, hell yes, this is for me, and they're going to want to do business with you. But if you're everything to everyone, you make an impact on no one.
And I was doing a coaching call the other day with one of my health and professional coaches, and he wanted some advice on building his business. I said, look, who are you really trying to target here? Is it, 30 to 50-year-old females? Is it, a Gen Y crowd? Is it, people that have never been to a gym before? Like really, really identify exactly. And if you can niche it down, if you're doing advertising and campaigns, you can actually niche it down and target people on Facebook as well. Do you want to just add a little bit more into that?
Facebook's targeting is completely out of this world. It's amazing. I mean, it's the only platform that you can target mothers that go to yoga on Saturdays, but that also own a poodle and have, 3 kids. Like, you can actually probably get to that level of granular targeting on Facebook. Not probably, definitely. And part of the reason why is there's great inbuilt targeting that you can choose from. But what most people don't understand is that Facebook, as a platform, they've got one goal, is that they want to connect the right ad with the right person. Why? Well, because then their ads remain relevant. People don't get annoyed by seeing ads. They stay on Facebook longer. They come back more. So it's in Facebook's best interest to do that, to show the right ad to the right person. So even if you don't have like the exact right audience, you have a general audience of what you want to focus on. You know who your avatar is, and you know that they exist within this subset of an audience. Facebook will then go ahead and continue to refine and automate and optimize your advertising campaigns to go ahead and find that right avatar, right? So it's kind of like shooting an arrow, except the target's quite big, and eventually the arrow starts shooting itself. That's the level of advertising algorithm and power and targeting that we're able to access today.
Well, I hope you got a lot of value out of that session with Zane. That 30 minutes, I probably got you thinking about all sorts of different things. It may have been quite thought-provoking, but digital marketing strategy and putting in a really good plan in place. And, it can be a highly complicated thing. And I always say to people, you don't go and do your own accounting. And if you're doing that, you're probably leaving money on the table. Doing marketing, doing sales is a skill. And I would highly recommend that you think about outsourcing or going to see someone that's an expert in their niche. It might cost you to go and engage someone like that, but I'm assure you they'll save you on the back end of that. So I hope you got some great value out of Zane Basic and talking about digital marketing strategy. We're going to move over to the next session with Alex Jackson.
I think a lot of the time, organic traffic is a really good way to get started, getting traffic for your business, right? I mean, organic traffic is great because you don't have to pay for it, right? But then, you kind of run into some challenges with organic traffic that you don't really have with paid traffic, right? So, some of the kind of really key challenges you have with organic traffic is scaling it, right? And, if you think about it, there's only so much of your time that you can really be putting into creating organic traffic, creating organic content, posting, like creating YouTube videos, creating all of that stuff. And it's always a really good idea once you get to a certain point when you have enough money to kind of, start investing in paid traffic to switch over, because paid traffic is just much more scalable, right? If you start, say, spending a certain amount of money on paid traffic, it's working, you're getting a return on it, then you can always, scale it up and, increase your ad budget, and, that'll generate more leads, increase your revenue, right? And the other component of it is that paid traffic is automated, right? And so it fully takes kind of your time out of the equation, and then you can focus your time on other things as well. Plus, if one of the challenges you face with organic traffic is that on certain platforms like Facebook, a few years back, Facebook completely throttled like the organic reach that people had with Facebook posts, right? So like from pages. So basically what happened was people were making tons and tons of money, getting tons of leads with organic traffic on Facebook. Facebook cut their organic reach, and then they couldn't reach as much as large of a component of their audience, and then as a result, they lost a lot of the lead flow that they were getting, right? And so, if you're relying only on organic traffic, then you can also kind of run into that issue of like they own your traffic, right? They could instantly overnight they can just change the algorithm. You can get shut down, and then you can stop, lose all of that traffic, right? So those are kind of the three things that I think it's automated. Paid traffic is automated. It's more scalable, And, you know, the other thing is it's more consistent, right? Like you can, you know, you won't get shut down by organic reach.
And we have a lot of health and wellness and fitness professionals on this thing. Like one thing I would say in regards to the depth that you can target individuals down to local areas, down to weight loss people that, you know, are 30 to 50-year-old females. Like, do you want to talk a little bit about that as well? And even put a bit of context around, you know, if you were a personal trainer and you were looking for a client, the type of thing you can do from that point of view.
Yeah, for sure. You know, like you said, targeting can get very, very granular on Facebook. And, you know, you know, when people are doing their targeting on Facebook, they should really start with, okay, who's my ideal customer? I think what a lot of people do is they jump on too quickly. They think, oh, I'm a fitness coach, I'll target fitness, right? And that's not necessarily the best way to go about things. You should, you know, do a strategy where you look at that ideal customer, and then you think about, okay, like what does this person look like? What are they interested in? What are their characteristics? Some of the ways you can do that is go and look at a few of your past clients, and then go on their, you know, Facebook page and look at the pages that they like, right? Look at the stuff that they're interested in and into. And, you know, you'll see things pop out that you probably didn't expect, you know, and these things will pop out consistently, right? And then you can take those, and then you can go into the Facebook ad manager and target some of those interests, right? And once you know who that dream customer is, you can also go into Facebook and really target down in terms of age, location, like you said. But when it comes to interest targeting, it's really important, you know, to not just target the interests that Facebook give you when you search like fitness, right? But also to kind of get a bit more in touch with who your ideal customer is, and then find what interests they might have in Facebook that aren't just broad generic interests, because that way you're more likely to get in front of the right person.
Yeah. And just on that, and a lot of people that I've coached in the industry, and I've been in the fitness industry for a long time myself, and I always just say, don't try and be everything to everyone. Like for me, I knew who my core target audience was. They were 30 to 50-year-olds, or even 30 to 60-year-olds, people that didn't want to go to a commercial gym. They're happy to pay a bit more, but they're going to get a little bit more service. I wasn't after bodybuilders. I didn't have weights there, so why target that type of person? So it's such a powerful thing that you can do with paid traffic. I guess in regards to an advertising campaign with Facebook, there's a lot of elements. There's the ad, there's the copy, there's the metrics you set up there. Like, what are the key elements to a Facebook advertising campaign?
Yeah, definitely. So I think really when you look at it, there's a few key elements, right? So obviously, before you jump into Facebook, before you start running ads, you need to think about, where am I going to send people, right? So, and that's mainly kind of the funnel that you'll send people into, and having a really good funnel set up, having a really good kind of place to send people. Before you ever think about switching on your ads, you need to get that in line, and that really involves obviously thinking about your customer, thinking about your product, thinking about what you need to persuade them of and what journey they need to go through in order to make a sale after they click on an ad. So that's really the first thing that I've always been looking at before I launch a campaign. Then the next thing is setting up all of the targeting like we spoke about. So going in, now I know my customer, now I know how I'm going to take them from off Facebook to a sale. Then I think about, okay, how do I target them? And then the next thing is the ad and the copy, right? So, your image, your ad image or your ad video should kind of jump out on the feed. It should be, attention grabbing. It should be kind of like, it should stand out and kind of pattern interrupt people, meaning they're just kind of scrolling through Facebook, looking for entertainment a lot of the time, and your ad should kind of, grab their attention and pull them out of that kind of mindset of just searching and scrolling, right? And then your ad copy should basically be a teaser for what's going to come next after they click, right? So, if you're sending them off Facebook to book in a call with you so that you can sell them over the phone, if you're sending them to some kind of a webinar, or a free training, for example, whatever you're going to send them to, whatever persuasion tools you're going to use after the click to make that sale, your Facebook ad in the copy should really be teasing all of that. It should be talking about what that person wants. Your target customer, now we've identified who they are, now we've targeted them with the targeting. That ad copy should really talk about, okay, what does that person want to achieve? What do they want to get, right? And then also a bit of curiosity, teasing what's to come next after the click.
And while we're on copywriting, like copywriting's probably the skill that can really change everything for your business. You do need to really get the right person there. But I obviously follow you and we've worked together for the last year and a bit. I saw a piece of copy the other day you're using as an example, and you used a gym and AirPods to make the sale. And do you want to just explain the dynamics of what you were trying to get across there? Because there's a really powerful message in what you put on your Facebook there. So if you want to go and give some backstory to that, that would really help the audience.
Yeah, so I'll tell you a bit about what that post was. But like you said, copywriting is really the thing that's going to make your ads work. If there's one thing that people should focus on if they're going to jump on Facebook, the targeting is important, but that's just kind of a necessary element, right? The real thing that's going to make it work, that's going to get you those sales, get you those leads, is copywriting. And copywriting is really all about understanding your customer and creating a message that they resonate with. So, the other day I wrote a piece of copy that was about Apple AirPods. And, I was at the gym and I saw someone using Apple AirPods, and I thought about some of the reasons I hadn't bought Apple AirPods yet. And then I kind of thought, well, if there was a product out there that solved some of those objections, that solved those reasons why I haven't bought them, then I would instantly buy that product, right? And so what people should be thinking about a lot of the time in their copywriting is, what concerns or problems or, objections do people have to buying, your product or service, right? So, for example, like if you're a fitness coach, then your clients, they may have some concerns around, okay, am I going to have to starve myself? Am I going to have to, eat some crazy diet? I'm going to have to be in the gym 4 times a day. And the way I kind of go about that is, I look on, say, forums, I'll go through Reddit or Quora or different kind of platforms like that. And I'll really search for what people are thinking about certain things, right? So let's say it's the ketogenic diet, right? I would go ahead, I'd search in those forums, look for people's objections to using that thing, right? And then I'd go and put all of that into my copy. Plus, I'd go and ask my customers like, hey, before working with me, or like some of the, challenges that you've had along your journey, what was stopping you from getting started? And then I'd solve all of those objections in my copywriting.
Yeah, look, I mean, and if you have got a business now or a client base and you've got a really good CRM or communication platform for your audience, go and do a survey and survey your clients regularly, probably annually, on what you're doing good, what you're doing bad, and how to, you'll be able to find improvements in your business. Feedback is critically important for success. So let's talk a little bit about that word that everyone always talks about, but nobody really knows about, is algorithms. What's your take on algorithms?
Yeah, so the Facebook algorithm in particular, yeah, it's a bit of a funny one. It's a bit of a kind of like hot button kind of term, like that everyone talks about, but no one fully understands it because Facebook's changing it all the time, and we're always kind of looking at what happens after the fact, and kind of trying to make sense of what Facebook's doing, right? So my best take on kind of Facebook's ad algorithm really is that what it's trying to do is give people what they want to see, right? So it's trying to essentially show the most relevant ad to the most relevant person at the right time, right? And so Facebook's algorithm it'll optimize your ads for what you tell it to optimize your ads for, right? And there's a lot of different things that you can tell the algorithm, to optimize your ads for. So really, I kind of think of Facebook's algorithm as just like a really, really smart person who knows what to do to get you the result you want, right? And those results can be all sorts of things. You can ask the algorithm to find you more people who will watch your video in full. You can ask the algorithm to find you more leads. You can ask the algorithm to find you more, like people who will click on your post or people who will like your post. So you can the algorithm in my mind, it's really just the tool Facebook uses to help you as an advertiser get what you want, one, and also the tool that they use to help optimize and maximize the Facebook ad experience for users.
Cool. And look, yeah, algorithms, that's one reason you want to move your audience or your traffic onto your own database and CRM. So you own them, you control them, it's your asset, you can then nurture the way you want, and then you don't have to worry about algorithms. So would you say that that's a really core strategy in your whole marketing, is to get people onto your own database?
Yeah, absolutely. There's kind of three types of traffic really, right? There's like traffic that you don't own. There's the traffic that's like you don't control at all. There's traffic you control, and then there's traffic you own, right? And the kind of and to give some different examples of that, traffic that you don't control is like SEO, organic stuff like that. People just direct searching your website and so on. That's traffic, or referrals. That's traffic that you don't really control, right? And then there's traffic you control, which is mainly paid advertising, and that could be Facebook ads, YouTube ads, and you control that because you can point it at a certain place. You can decide how much money you spend, but you don't own that traffic, right? And that traffic could get shut down very quickly, and this has happened. Or prices can rise. And a lot of people are experiencing this on Facebook at the moment, ad accounts getting shut down. And in those circumstances, if things start to go really bad for you and a traffic source that you control is no longer available, then you want to have some traffic that you own, right? And like you said, and first, traffic that you own is like email lists, things like that, right? And so the reason why is because no one else but you really can interfere with that, right? There's different platforms of email like Gmail and so on, but they can't take your list away from you. They can't stop you from mailing those people. So you own that traffic, right? And an absolute kind of core thing in the strategies that I use for my clients, and that I know you use as well, is converting that traffic you control and traffic you don't control too, but traffic you control into traffic you own. So taking names and emails, getting people to opt in for free trainings, and then when you do that, then you turn that traffic into traffic that you own.
And while you're talking about subscribing and traffic, what about offers? What type of offers and that would be good offers? Like there's, you can give your time up for a consult. You can free week might be a good offer. Like, what are some of the offers that you would consider using and that work?
Yeah, for sure. So offers definitely, there's types of consistent offers that people put out a lot of the time that really work well. But at the same time, it's also going to depend on who your target market is and what they really want and what they respond to. And I think it's always worth testing out a lot of different offers and seeing what works and what doesn't. But I think some really tried and tested offers are like getting people to sign up for a free training where you drip email training or you drip video training via email over, say, a 7-day period. That's a really good way to capture a name and email address, right? So that's a really, really good offer to introduce people into who you are, what you're about, what kind of things they need to know in order to make a purchase from you, right? So that's a really good offer to, free offer to capture a name and email, I should say. Another really good free offer to capture a name and email is like a webinar or a video training. And people, other great offers that work for, capturing name and emails are like, cheat sheets, guides, that kind of stuff. Then, what you offer next is a lot of the time going to depend on your business and your customers, right? If you have a business where there's it's high education in order to make a purchase, they need to understand quite a lot of things. You may need to take 1 or 2 sales calls next. And a lot of the time it's good to position that sales call as another offer, as the next offer in the sequence. So you can position that sales call as a free coaching call, as a mentoring session, as a clarity call, something like that, that actually provides value whilst taking them through the sales process. So, that's another great offer that works really well. And beyond that, there's so many different things you can try. You can put out kind of like mini courses, paid mini courses for a low price. You can do, for fitness trainers, for example, if you were in a, local area, you could try like a free boot camp where people show up and then you sell people into a paid ongoing program ongoing after that free boot camp that they show up for. You could do a low ticket paid boot camp. You could do, group mentoring sessions. There's really no kind of strict formula for what it is. You just kind of have to speak to your customers, understand what they want, and then test out a few different offers like the ones I've spoken about and find what really ticks and what really clicks with your audience.
And just that there's a lot of people out there, the word marketing funnel. What is a marketing funnel? And even explain like a customer journey, like when someone subscribes, there's usually a process as well. Do you want to just touch on those 2 things?
Yeah, so there's a few different things to think about when it comes to what is a marketing funnel, right? And essentially, a funnel, when we really look at it and what it actually is, it's really just a few landing pages, few web pages, maybe some emails, and then maybe a sales call at the end. That's really all it looks like, right? But the purpose of a marketing funnel and what it's trying to do is take someone who, especially when we're using paid ads, right? We're trying to take someone who's never heard of you, who's a complete stranger, and turn them into a paying client, right? And there's usually a lot of things that have to happen in between that journey. Now, some of the people watching this podcast or also listening to the podcast, would probably have experience before where they're like, okay, they got a referral or something like that. They got referrals, or maybe they've, they have organic leads and warm leads and things like that. And those people have gone through a certain experience and journey before they got to them, right? So those referrals, for example, or, people who came into the gym or heard about the gym from a friend or so on, before that, they had no idea who you were. They had no idea about what you do or what you offer. And then that friend did all of kind of the work. That friend, they knew that friend, they liked that person, they trusted them. And so they, and not only that, they wanted to do, sign up for the gym or sign up for the training program or whatever it was, right? And so in that circumstance, the journey they went through is they had a desire, they had something they wanted to do. Then their friend said, hey, why don't you try out this trainer, or why don't you try out, this gym? And then they're like, well, I trust you, I like you, I trust your opinion, so I'll go and investigate that further. And then the more objections they have there is like, okay, how much, what do I actually get? What's the price? So a bit of information gathering type stuff, right? So, and then maybe they have, like we spoke about before, some concerns or objections, like, is this going to be, how much time am I going to have to give up? How much this, and so on, right? What's the price? What's, like, will I have to starve myself? This kind of stuff we spoke about before. And the essential process, if we take someone from paid ads to through a funnel, through a series of landing pages and some emails and a sales call, it's really the same thing. It's just that we have to take responsibility for what the friend is doing, which is building that trust, building that rapport, showing them that you're an authority in this particular space. So we're kind of, becoming their friend in a way by building that rapport and that trust. And then we're also kind of educating them about our product and our offer, and then trying our best to remove any concerns or objections that they might have.
Yeah, it is a, like, to do this really well, it's complicated. There's so many different elements to it. You've got your offers, you've got your Facebook metrics behind the scenes, you've got your copywriting. You really do, it's a jungle for someone to try and work it out that themselves. So you're better off as a personal trainer to try and find that right person, whether it's Alex or anyone, to actually put you in the right direction to do that, and you just focus on what you're good at, and that's training or business or entrepreneurship of a certain area. There is one thing that I think we should back over, and that's retargeting. So, another powerful part of Facebook advertising campaigns is retargeting. Do you want to touch on how important that is?
Yeah, for sure. So, look, the way retargeting essentially works is after someone's clicked on your ad and entered your funnel, maybe they've signed up for a free email training series or a free video training series that you've offered, then you can run ads to those people who haven't already signed up for your service, right? And so retargeting it's a really important part of that customer journey that we just spoke about, taking that person from someone who's a complete stranger and then warming them up to you and making the sale. So in those retargeting ads, we talk a lot about who is that person? Who are you? Like, who am I? What do I offer? Warming them up and making them feel a bit more trust towards you. Maybe, discussing some of the concerns or objections they may have in those retargeting ads as well, like we just spoke about. And then the other cool thing you can do with retargeting is if you have organic traffic going on, if you're, posting on Facebook, maybe you already have an email list, that kind of thing, you can actually use a lot of those assets to create audiences in Facebook that you can retarget, right? So retargeting, it's really just using existing audiences we have, whether that's people who have clicked on your ad already, people who have signed up for your training, maybe your previous clients and email list and that kind of thing, or your Facebook organic traffic. Those audiences, we can bundle them up on Facebook and run ads to them. And the idea is that, that can push them further along that customer journey towards making a sale and handle a few of those steps that maybe you would usually handle in person, on the phone, something like that. You can put that into Facebook and let Facebook do the work for you there.
And just probably one final thing I want to talk a bit about in regards to Facebook advertising in general. And I'm a Gary V follower, and he talks a lot about the competition and the when corporate dollar hits Facebook advertising, it'll, really, so it's sort of like he's really big on take advantage of the opportunity now. What is someone working behind the scenes there? What would you say about that? And you see the metrics day to day and the competition as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's no question, and it's well known that CPMs, which is your cost to reach 1,000 people on Facebook, it's continuously rising. And so when Facebook first launched back, I don't know, 2008, 2009, something like that, maybe earlier than that, I can't remember. It was much cheaper to run ads on Facebook, and so costs are going up. But if you're doing it well, it's still one of the best platforms to be running ads on right now. You can target with such incredible granularity and specificity. You can really get in front of the right person. And what it allows you to do in terms of retargeting and all of the kind of features that Facebook have and all of the different types of ads you can run. And on Facebook, it's probably the most powerful advertising platform that is on the market right now. And so, there is a lot of people saying hey, Facebook ads are going to die. They're dying. Their costs are rising, but it's such a powerful platform that, there's so much potential to be had running ads on Facebook right now. And there might become a point where it gets, costs blow out so much that it's not profitable. But right now, a lot of people are making a lot of money for their business on Facebook. You just have to invest in getting it right.
And what would you say, just before we move on to our rapid fire questions, there's certain metrics that you're looking at too to really work out your cost per client. What are some of the metrics that are really important for you when you're working with someone to understand if your campaign's going to be profitable or needs tweaks, etc.? What key metrics would you say are important?
For sure. So like you just mentioned, one of the really critical metric is what's your cost to acquire a client? Because if you're paying more than you're going to ever get out of that customer over their lifetime, then you have a bit of a problem on your hands. But if your cost to acquire a customer is 2 or 3 times lower than their potential lifetime value, how much they can pay you over the long life of that client, then things are going great. So the cost to acquire a customer, cost per acquisition, CPA, is really the main thing. One of the main things to focus on. And especially for trainers and gym owners, they need to really be focused on okay, how much am I paying to get that customer?
As you can probably see, digital marketing is quite a complicated, it's a science in its own right. And when I first started to try and do it by myself, I was just lost. There were so many different click-through rates and all sorts of different things that I needed to be looking at. And I guess the whole psychology around digital marketing and in particular Facebook ads, that's a skill in its own right. So Alex is an expert in this area and he's been working with some of the biggest leaders in the world. So that 30-minute conversation, I'm sure you've taken lots of notes and got plenty out of it. So we'll move on to the next session. This session here is without doubt, in my opinion, the best sales coach in the world. For his clients, he's generated over $2 billion in sales, and he changes the whole framework and mindset around sales with just implementing some simple frameworks. I've been working with Peter Lakovic now for 3 years. We're quite close friends. But I always engage his services to help build my business, and anyone that wants to improve sales, I said, don't look anywhere else, just go and see Peter. So in this session here, we spend 30 minutes talking about sales strategies, frameworks, and you'll get some incredibly practical plug and play advice directly from this session. So enjoy, sit back, take lots of notes, because you'll learn that much about sales in this 30 minutes. You'll transform your whole sales system within your business.
Muhammad Ali said, training should be the hardest thing you ever do. Fight night's easy. You don't get paid for the one-round knockout. You get paid for the months of years of training you've done before then. You know, the harder you train, the luckier you get. So I just think surrounding yourself and being obsessed about being around people that are where you want to be is the only way to succeed in life. And it's just the history of whenever I've plateaued in my life, whenever I've had a lull, it's usually when I've been at the top of the tree and I haven't had people around me to help guide me or to be a sounding board. And I've had to make those mistakes myself, which has cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars and probably years of my life. So now it's about what can you do to make sure that you are always growing. Because when you're not growing, you're going backwards.
Yeah, 100%. And because we are talking about education, growth and skills, and you're, in my opinion, the number one guy out there that's teaching sales, I want to spend a little bit of time talking to you about sales and just basic fundamentals, common mistakes you see people make, how can people get better, customer journey. Like if you had a few minutes to talk a bit about sales and how to get better and growth, you know, obviously coaching and mentorship and working with someone like you is going to fast track it tenfold. But for our audience here, if, you know, we're talking about sales and value and growth, how would you, you know, do a bit for the audience?
Well, Pandora's box. Sales is interesting, right? Because when you look at sales, most people see it as a four-letter word. You know, that I don't know many people that grew up wanting to be a salesperson. You know, usually people get into business for 2 or 3 reasons, right? One is you see a gap in the market and you want to fill that gap, right? So you get into business and you know you need to sell to start selling that. 2, you start a business because you're sick of doing it for someone else and you want to dictate your own terms, your own income. And the third reason you usually start a business is that your previous boss maybe just pissed you off and they didn't listen to you and you think you can do it better. But no one really grows up wanting to be a salesperson, right? Normally you're a good technician first, right? You're good at a physio or a Sparky or a chippy, or you're a good accountant, or you're good at something and you get into business. But, you know, there's almost nothing in business that can't be fixed by more sales. And it's understanding people is the key aspect, right? I don't think sales is this big script where you can just learn a set of words and you'll be good at sales. Because it's not always what you say, it's how you say it, and it's the perception you give to people right now and how people feel with the connection that you have. So I think you've got to understand the psyche of an individual or what drives them in their decision-making process. What are their buying motivators? And I don't think people take the time to, we usually sell from a point of, I have a widget, I have a product, and I want to sell it to you. And I've got to try to convince you that this is the right thing for you. And I think that's where sales has changed right now. I think what we need to focus on is how can I create a buying mindset in my consumer, not a selling mindset in me or my team. It's how can I get Craig Schulze to want to buy this mobile phone? Because when you buy it, you're buying it for the right reasons instead of me convincing you that you need to have it, which is really old school selling. So I think the first important thing with sales, it's the mindset shift of what are you trying to do? How is what your product does? How does it help? How does it enable? What's going to be the driving motivator in that individual? So if you don't know the buying patterns of your customer, if you don't understand their buying motivators, you've got no chance in making a sale. Now you can learn the closing scripts, but you know that becomes very pushy, old school 80s and 90s selling. I think in today's marketplace, the consumer is smarter. It's a noisier marketplace. They're getting sold to from social media, through emails, through telephone cold calling. Also, the marketing, the hit that you get from marketing today far outweighs any opportunity you had in the past. It's a noisy marketplace out there. So how do you stand out in that noisy marketplace? So people are getting hit every day to buy. So you can't sell the old school ways of trying to convince people. So I think the first step is understanding that what you do is enabling someone's life. Like I have no problems cold calling someone. I have no problem getting on stage in front of 1,500 people and talking about what I do. And it doesn't come across salesy because I know in my heart of hearts that when I get hold of you, your life will change. Now, it might be easy for me to say that because I have literally every week I'll get a case study, a testimonial, a Facebook message, an email, a gift in the mail saying, thank you, Pete, because my sales have grown, my business has grown, you've changed my life, I've got more time with my family, I've been able to hire salespeople, I've grown the business. So I have this video in my head. When I get hold of you, I know what will work, and I know I can change your perspective on how you can generate more income for yourself. But it's a mindset shift for me. So I think it's your gift that I'm talking to you right now. If you're a customer and I'm speaking to you in sales. So I don't think it comes across I'm trying to sell you anything. I'm so passionate about what I have and how it can help you. So I call this the doctor's mindset, right? So if you go to a doctor is sitting there going, okay, Craig, what's wrong? Where does it hurt? How long's it been hurting for? What have you been doing? What have you been eating? And they ask you questions that help them make the best diagnosis you can in the world. And the more questions you ask me that I see relevance in, that the more trust I give in you, the more credibility I have. So then I know you're making a better diagnosis. The biggest mistake people make in sales is they think the prescription is the biggest solution. Like your prescription is the easy part, right? Diagnosis is the hardest part possible. I don't know if you've ever seen the TV show House. If you haven't, Google the word House, right? He's a doctor with a team of 3, and he gets patients where no one else knows what's wrong with them. They're literally on close to their deathbed. No one can figure out what's wrong with them. Now, he's rude, he's arrogant, he's a misogynist, he's sexist, he's racist. Like, he's just crude, and I think that's what makes his personality. But what he does, he asks the hard questions that get to the root of the problem, to diagnose the problem. The prescription's the easy part, but diagnosing the right problem. And when people feel like you really want to try to understand what their biggest challenges are, what their problems are, what their goals and what their desires are, and there's relevance in those questions, then that creates a buying mindset in your customer. I think that's where people go wrong. They don't, I've learned from my wife, who's also one of the most successful sales and marketing people I know, is that she can get people to tell her the deepest, darkest secrets within 5 minutes quicker than I know anyone else can. She has this uncanny knack to make people feel comfortable, ask these questions which everyone else feels embarrassed to ask, but she has no problems going there. And she creates this deeper connection with people. So I think having this doctor's mindset about diagnosis is the most powerful thing possible, and putting that into perspective. And I think the second most powerful thing would be, as much as I don't believe in scripts, you need a process, you need a structure. You need to reverse engineer what success looks like in the sales process, how people like to buy. You need to put structure and frameworks around it. You need to have models. And you need to know, it's what I call OBT. So we live in a task-based mentality. I have a task list, and I've got to do this, and I've got to do these 5 things on my task, and I've got to check these things off. But just because you do a task, it doesn't mean you achieve the outcome. I can give you a set of words, and you can say them, but it doesn't mean you're going to achieve the outcome. You get a C-grade actor with a script, and they're going to say the words, but it won't be a box office hit. But you get a Meryl Streep or a Robert De Niro, and they say the same words, and it's going to make gazillions of dollars. Because they know the impact they want those words to make on the audience. So I think we've really got to understand that when it comes to sales, it's not always about the script. It's the models and the frameworks to achieve what I call outcome-based thinking. What is the outcome you want your customer to feel at this stage of the sales process? Are they feeling that right now? No, then you've got to continue that point. You can't skip it. You don't just say the script and move to the next stage if that script hasn't achieved an outcome. Have those questions elicited your buying motivators? No, well, you can't just go to the next stage in the sales process, because that's going to be the objection. It's going to bite you in the butt at the end. So I think you've got to have a process and a structure to uncover the buying motivators, and you've got to have a model and a framework to follow. Without that, you're just winging it. And you can be intuitive, but then you'll go through what I went through, and you can't teach that to other people. Therefore, you can't scale, and therefore the business is dependent on you. The last thing we want is key person dependency in life.
Yeah. And we'd say, like, just for an example, to provide a bit of context, what would you say, like, around weight loss, for example? You've been in the fitness industry, I've been in the fitness industry. If you were trying to get someone, to, those buying motivators or whatever, like, what would you say questions that might be thought provoking to get them to think about weight loss, for example? Like, I put you on the spot, but you've been in that.
I'm quite passionate about this. So, in my Sales Accelerator program, it's a 4-week program. This is one of the biggest. When what I share with you right now, the results that I get when I teach this one concept changes everything for people. Like, literally, I have 100% success rate of people getting success before the program finishes, right? And it's usually within the first week or two, they've doubled or tripled their conversion rate. They've shortened their sales cycle. They've increased their average dollar per sale because of this one concept. And what I'm going to talk about now is more order and sequence and structure rather than exactly what to say. Because what I need you to understand is we tend to start a sales process with our icebreaker, right? We do this, what I call fake rapport. Say, Craig, if you inquired with me, maybe you reached out through a Facebook ad that I put out, a private message on Facebook, a landing page, a lead page, an email inquiry, a website inquiry, right? You've reached out for some reason, okay? And I'm calling you back, or I'm emailing you back, or I'm doing a Zoom call with you, or something like that in the sales process. And most of the time you go, oh, Craig, how are you? So good to meet you. How are you? How's the weekend been? How's Christmas? We do all this conversation where the customer knows, like, I don't know you yet. So you're asking me these, how's Christmas and New Year? I'm all for building rapport, but, the customer today, they know that you're just doing an icebreaker. They know that you're just building rapport. And then once you build rapport, you go to the next stage. So what I don't do anymore is I don't do the fake rapport. The first step of any sales process is introduction. In my introduction, I want to cut to the chase. I think you've inquired with me for a reason. And by avoiding that, by doing rapport, you're lowering the emotional level that someone actually has. Think about it in the fitness industry. If I'm going to lose weight, what has to go in my head for me to reach out to you? I've got to look at your ad, look at your website, search, Google you in my lunch break, morning tea break. At the end of the day, once I put the kids to bed, I've got to go out of my way, cut through all the noise. I've then got to type in a message, click a button, pick up the phone, jump in my car, run to your studio, call you, whatever the lead source is. There's a lot of emotional drivers that are going in. Like, for me to say to you, I want to lose weight, Craig, it's almost like me going to AA. It's like, hi, my name's Peter, I'm an alcoholic. Hi, my name's Peter, I'm unhappy with my body. There's a high emotional driver that's going to creating that lead. And we ignore that by following a sales process as, build this rapport in the stereotypical way. So the first thing I'm going to suggest someone goes out there is, if someone has sent you any type of lead or inquiry, the first thing you say is, hey, Craig, I've just got your insert lead source. I've just received your email, your private message. I've just got your phone call. I just saw you jumped on the website. And I can see you've reached out. What's made you reach out today? Because when you reach out, who do you reach out to? You reach out to an expert. And what are you reaching out for? You're reaching out for help. So what it's actually doing, it's changing the paradigm that I'm not the salesperson chasing you, you're the customer chasing me. I call it the switch. We want to turn from chase-er to chase-e. Because that's the quickest way to lower buyer's resistance for somebody. Even if you jumped onto the calendar and you book an appointment for me and it's popped up to my calendar and I need now to call you at 10 o'clock in the morning, I'd say, hey, Craig, I can see you've reached out. Mate, are you ready to roll? Are you ready to go? Yeah, I am. Great. So, mate, before we start, what made you reach out? You'd be surprised how quickly people can tell you. They'll either tell you their lead source and then they tell you their driving motivator as to why. What was it about your lead magnet? What was it about your Facebook ad? What was it about your Google ad? What was it about the website? What's going on in your mind? What's going on in your heart? So the first thing I would do is get them to find out why someone reached out to start with, because that creates a deeper connection than any type of fake rapport will ever do. The second thing I would do is I wouldn't dig too deep too quickly. I would ask 2 quick questions, usually a confirmation, clarity-based question. and a time-based question. So if I ask you, Craig, what made you reach out? You go, oh, Pete, I've been following for a while. I saw your ad, and I'm looking at making some changes, and I want the new year to be great. Okay, great. So when you say looking at making some changes, tell me more about that. So I'm asking you a clarity-based question. Right? So clarity-based questions early are really important, but I don't dig too deep because we don't have the rapport to go too deep, but I want to acknowledge why. The key here is to acknowledge what they want and acknowledge it quickly. That'll lower resistance and create greater connection. Then I'll ask a time-based question, which would be great. And how long has this been going on for? How long have you been thinking about it? How long have you been feeling this way for? When did you have a goal? But I'm asking some sort of time-based question. If you get them in that mindset in the first minute or two, it lowers resistance enough for you to then set up the rest of the framework for what you want to do. So from there, I'll then go, okay, great. Because of that, let me tell you what we should do today. So now you're tailoring everything for them. And you need to set the framework up and tell people what to expect in the sales call. Two of the biggest fears in the world is fear of failure and fear of the unknown. When you don't know what to expect, what do you think? Do you think best case scenario or worst case scenario? And most people will say worst case scenario, right?
Yeah.
So you need to do a really good frame up of, Craig, because of what you've just shared with me, listen, this is what we're going to do today. And you take them through and you map out the sales process. First, we're going to do A, then we're going to do B, then we're going to get C, then we're going to do D. How does that sound? And in there, you tell them when they're going to make a decision. And if they accept the framework of what you're going to do, now you've mapped out the journey that they're going to go through. They're happy to go through the journey, but they've made that decision. And they feel like it's personalized. They feel like it's tailored.
Yeah. And with and you mentioned right at the start about, say, objections, for example. It's not an objection. How do you say it's not an objection?
Yeah, objections are a funny thing, right? Because we take objection as rejection. We think if someone's taking us an objection, they're rejecting us. And we usually wait until the end of the presentation, and then people give you the objection, you have to overcome it. So my mindset goes to, it's only an objection if they say it. If you say it, it's a conversation. Right? It's only an objection if they say it. If you say it, it's a conversation. I know in the fitness industry, I used to get a lot of people saying, I want to think about it. It's a common thing. I want to think about it. I think about it. I want to think about it is usually a screen that's hiding, money, or they don't see high perceived value. It's their way to kind of buy more time. So to stop people procrastinating, I bring that up so they can't. Because when you say, Craig, I want to think about it, I go, oh yeah, but it's like a tug of war, right? You're objecting, so you're pulling away. I say, yeah, but I'm trying to overcome it, so I'm pulling the other way. The more I pull, the more you want to pull back. And we've got this tug of war, and nobody wins a tug of war, right? Because one person always falls flat in the mud. So it's always win-lose. So for me, it's like, if I know a lot of the time someone's going to give me the I want to think about it objection, I bring up that objection first, because then it's just a conversation. So I might say to you, Craig, and this is really important, if you're going to bring up an objection, which is the objections, let's face it, are usually quite logical, you've got to get someone out of the logical brain into the emotional brain. It's hard to fight logic with logic. It's like a positive end of a magnet with a positive end of a magnet, they repel. Right? So it's like two rhinos fighting, they'll just butt heads. So what I'm going to do, at a high peak of emotion, usually when I've elicited some sort of buying motivators, what are the goals you want to achieve, when you want to achieve them by, I will then ask a question like, Craig, mate, so it sounds like you want to trim, tone, lean up, firm up, lose weight, kilograms, belt size, dress size, whatever it is, by this time frame. So I'm recapping their goals. Mate, I'm just curious, how long have you been thinking about taking this step and doing this for? And just role play with me. How long have you been thinking about doing this for, Craig?
All of 2019.
All right, so for the last 12 months.
Yep.
Can I ask, why have you been thinking about it for the last 12 months?
I'm just not happy at the moment, and every time I look into the mirror, I'm just, I'd say, look, I need to lose another bit of weight.
Yeah. It's quite common. A lot of people do that. So has 12 months, in your mind, in your world, has 12 months been enough time for you to be thinking about it?
Yeah, look, I am ready now. I just can't put it aside forever.
Yeah. Are you sure? Like, this is now the time for you?
Yep.
Mate, well, I'm glad you've stopped thinking about it. So I'd reach out today and chat to me. And that's usually the hardest step is reaching out. The rest is easy. I've done it with so many people before, and I can show you the way.
Okay.
What you now can't say at the end when I go through prices is I want to think about it. So I've said to you, how long have you been thinking about it for? 12 months. I've asked why I've been thinking about it. You've given me the reason. I've said, is that enough time to be thinking about it? You said yes. I said, are you sure? I challenged you. You went, yep. I said, well, I'm glad you've stopped thinking about it. So I'd reach out today. Reaching out's the hardest part. The rest is easy. Like, I've brought it up, but it's just been a conversation.
Yeah.
So if you wait to the end, you've got to embrace objections. If you bring it up, it's just a conversation.
Yeah.
So now I never get the I want to think about it objection, because I would bring it up midway through my presentation. And in your mind, you've gone, yeah, it has been 12 months. I've been wanting to lose that weight. I've been putting it off. I can't put it off any longer, and I've got to do it now. I've just helped you break through your own mental barriers, which is the best thing the best gift I can give you is stop you procrastinating, because that's what's made you put on the weight in the first place.
Yeah.
So it's the gift of bringing up the objection helps them as well as helping you. So it's kind of an example how that can work.
Yeah, look, I think anyone on this episode today, the value that we've got out of Pete, and we're going to go at the end to let him share a bit more about what he's doing now with his sales accelerator and so on. So I want to thank Pete for sharing this. There is one more question around sales, and I think it's untapped, and a lot of people don't ask the question, but what would you say, and how would you help develop more referrals for business?
Referrals is so undervalued. Everyone talks about it, but no one's really doing it really, really well. There's very few people doing it really, really well. I learned referrals in my business because the first gym I managed was on the beach. And you might think that's pretty cool. It's in North Beach in Perth. But it sucks for business-wise because 180 degrees is my population of fish, right? So I don't have 360-degree marketing. And we didn't have internet back in those days. So it was fly drops. And so, I lost half my market. And I didn't have a really nice gym. If I'm honest, it was a crappy gym. Had high ceilings, had cobwebs in the ceilings. The equipment was old. It was all, now you have nice cables, and, we had, think of a bike chain. If you're doing like a lat pull down machine or a leg extension, like it was all on chains and oily, and like, it was not, I had clumps of metal, which I welded together on a bar, put on a scale. It was like 13.5 kilos. I got the liquid paper, rounded down to 13 kilos, blow the liquid paper dry, because it was paint liquid paper back in those days. And they were my dumbbells because I didn't have enough money to buy it. So it was like a Rocky Balboa gym. It was just an old school gym. So I couldn't put nice pictures up on a flyer to say, come to my gym, because then you have a mismatch of expectation. They see this great flyer with all this new equipment. They go to the gym and look shitty. So I figured, how can I get more leads that don't look at my gym and go, this looks like crap? I was like, well, if you're a member of my gym, Craig, you will know other people that, a flashy gym isn't important. Or you'll go, you know what, it's not a flashy gym, but 20 kilo, I used to train my staff and my members. They said, Pete, this equipment's a bit old. I said, mate, do you think your biceps care what your equipment look like? 20 kilos is 20 kilos. Your butt, your legs, your arms, it's 20 kilos. Just lift it. I see people complain saying there's no car parks. I have to park, down the road and walk a block to get here. I went, excuse me, you're coming to the gym to get fit and you're complaining about you have to walk 5 minutes to get here? I don't even want to hear that again. Get in the gym and jump on the treadmill. So for me, it was understanding that. I've completely lost my train of thought now. I was totally visualizing my old gym, and I completely lost. What was I talking about before that? What was the question? Referrals. There you go. You got me back on track again. So I had a really old gym, so I had to rely on referrals. I trained my staff and my members. So you would go to someone and say, hey, come and train the gym with me. It's not a fancy gym, but you know what? 20 kilos weighs 20 kilos. Get your butt in here. So with referrals, I think the most important thing I can give you in such a short period of time is when to get them. And the best time to get a referral is at the highest peak of emotion. So when your customer is at the highest peak of emotion, people buy emotionally, they justify logically, right? People buy emotionally and they justify their decision logically. One logical way to justify an emotional decision, right, is to get other people to do what you just did. I know if I go to a cafe or I see a good movie, I will tell other people, and I'll tell you to go to that restaurant. Then you'll ring me and go, oh, Pete, thanks so much. That was awesome. The experience was great. The food was great. So at the highest peak of emotion, and I love referring because I love you coming back and saying thank you. Not because you've bribed. I didn't need to get bribed to refer you. I wanted you to have the experience that I had. And that makes me feel good. It satisfies a part of my brain. So where's the first highest peak of emotion in the sales process? At point of sale, right? When you press that buy button, when you book that holiday, you put the deposit on a house or a car, when you buy those clothes, it's when you get the adrenaline rush, the serotonin goes through your body, and all of a sudden you get this high peak. So at point of sale, when someone says I'm going to buy, is a great time to implement a referral strategy. Where's the second next highest peak of emotion? Point of usage. When you use the product or the service, I might buy something online, click a buy button, and I get this buzz of I just bought something. Then I get it and I unravel it and I pack it and I try it on, or I eat it, or I wear it, or I watch it, or I use it. So point of usage is the next highest peak of emotion. When you first use something the first time, you get excited by it. So you should have a referral strategy at point of usage. And then when's the next peak of emotion? Usually point of success or point of result. Because sometimes, if you're implementing a CRM system, the success isn't going to come at usage, right? So it's point of result. So you want to then embed a referral strategy once I see a return on my investment. Once I've lost the weight and get a testimonial, that's a great time for a referral.
Yeah.
So I look for where are the highest peaks of emotion, and I embed a referral strategy at those stages. And my business lived on referrals, and I used to have a KPI of 3 referrals for every sale. So every person who joins gives me 3 names, phone numbers, email addresses, and permission to contact them, because you've already told them that I'm going to be calling them. In the fitness industry, I would say, hey, you're entitled to bring 5 people to the gym for a free 7-day workout for family, friends, and work colleagues. Now, because I'm really busy, can I give you 3 right now? I'll give you a call in a couple of weeks, give you the other 2. So, who else do you know that's similar to you that would like to train and get in shape for summer? Hit New Year to 2020 looking better than I ever have. So I would make referrals a giving, but I'll do it at point of sale, I'll do it at point of usage, and I'll do it at point of success. And then you'll find that people who refer know other people that will refer. You create this chain of referrals.
Yeah.
So we used to get at least 3 referrals. That was my goal to get 3 referrals for every sale. And it should be everyone's goal to get a referral at point of sale, a point of usage, and point of success.
Yeah, look, I guess one strategy I learned in the fitness industry was just off reading the tipping point, and in their 3-week trial, which is sort of like the first point of emotion when they're ready to join. I used to always ask the question, what's your favorite restaurant, or what's your favorite massage person? So what I'll be doing there, if their response was, oh, you've got to go down to this cafe here, they make incredible coffee. So I'm identifying that person as a referrer. But if they didn't give me that type of response, I never did. And then on the point of sale, I used to introduce a referral program, because I go, this person here just told me the finer detail about there. So I used to roll out what my referral program, and I built an incredible referral based business just off that strategy alone. And it was just asking questions to see whether they were referrals. And I learnt that from reading the book, The Tipping Point. So last quick question about follow-up in sales. Importance of that is, again, the fortune is in the follow-up, and so many people take no as a end of story. You would say that's pretty important for sales?
Yeah, there's a saying, it's not a no, it's just a not now. But you've got to know your customer. You've got to get the reason. You've got to understand the reason why there's the no. But there is so much business growth opportunity missed because of lack of follow-up. You know, we're always chasing the new lead and the new marketing strategy, the new opportunity, where you've got someone who has followed you, who's reached out to you. For whatever reason, it wasn't the right time. It doesn't mean that in a week or 2 weeks or in a month or in 3 months or in 6 months, it's not going to be the right time then. And we forget about those people we spend all that money and time trying to get. So there are some rules with follow-up, and probably the most important rule, I'm a weird guy. I love follow-up, right? Because I have success from follow-up. You know, people hate follow-up because they feel they're a nuisance. You know, I get people that go, Pete, how many times can I call someone before I'm annoying them? I'm like, well, if you're already thinking that, you're already annoying them. So some of my follow-up rules are, number one, you never leave any type of communication, whether it be written, you know, SMS, social media, email, verbal, you know, telephone, face-to-face, Zoom, or face-to-face. Never leave any type of communication without a time, a day, a date, and a reason for the next contact. Right? You always have a time, right? 3 o'clock, a day, Monday, the date, the 3rd of January, right? Because you don't say, I'll call you next week. There's 52 next weeks in a year. Which one's yours? Next week, there's 7 days in next week, right? I'll call you around lunchtime tomorrow. Well, when's lunchtime for you? Between 12 and 2? Like, you know, there's 120 minutes in that time. You've got a 1 in 120 chance of getting in that 1 minute of calling them. So you're going to have a time, day, and a date. And then the most important thing is, what's the reason for the next contact? You've got to set up a reason. If they're contacting in a day, in a week, in a month, in 3 months, in 6 months, create the reason for the contact. Because then you'll never have to bug anyone because they're expecting your call. So I'll always leave every communication with the time, day, date, and reason for my next contact. And you make the reason in that call. The second thing that you need to do is, your reason cannot be the objection you got for why they didn't buy in the first place. So if you said to me, Pete, you know, I've got to go speak to my partner, I'll say, great, no worries, I'll give you a call next week. No, it needs to be, okay, Craig, one, find out who the partner is. And you should have known that early in the process anyway. That should be part of your framework we talked about early in the conversation. So you should never get a surprise. You should never present unless you know the decision makers are present for you, wherever possible. But you're making sure that you have a time, day, date, and reason, but you create the reason there. The reason can't be the objection. So if you said to me, I want to speak to my partner, I can't ring you up and go, hey, Craig, it's Pete here. How you going? Have you had a chance to speak to your partner? Because 9 times out of 10, what do you get? Oh, I haven't had a chance to chat to him yet.
Yeah.
Pete, I've just got to work out my finances. Let me get back to you. Okay, no worries. I'll give you a call next week. Ring, Craig, how you going? It's Pete here. Have you had a chance to work out your finances? Oh, I'm still trying to make it work for you. Can you send me a proposal? I want to read the proposal first. No worries. I'll ring you up a week later. Craig, have you had a chance to read the proposal? Oh, I'm still going through it. I haven't been able to share it with my business partner yet. When you ring with the objection, you get the objection. Right? So you can't, you've got to set up a reason before you get off the phone, but the reason can't be the objection.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If you want to think about it, and it's going to be like, hey, Craig, I can understand you want to think about it. While you're here, is something I can help you think about? If it's not, great. Listen, once you go and think about it, what I want you to do is write a list of all the questions that you've got, because you're going to get some after we hang up on the phone. And then let's chat. When you're going to, why don't we chat on, pick a time, day, date, and then we'll go through those questions together. We'll work through them with you, and we'll work out the best next steps in that call. How does that sound? And then I'm ringing to go through questions. I'm not ringing to see, have you had to think about it yet?
Yeah.
So you've just got to find a reason, and you've got to create the reason before you get off the phone, get off the email, finish your face-to-face conversation. Time, day, date, reason. The reason cannot be the objection.
Yeah.
If you do that, you're going to have so much more success with your follow-up. But just set it up. If you set it up and nurture people through the journey, they appreciate that. When you're just calling to see, have you made a decision, that's when you become an annoying salesperson.
Well, I hope you enjoyed those sessions, because I always say to people when I'm coaching them in business, you know, the thing I do with everyone at the start of every year is to say, imagine you're a startup business all over again. You might be mature, you might have your foundations, but you're a startup. And when you're in a startup business, the number one most important thing you need to be doing is growing, and growing quick. So sales and marketing are the number one things I'd always encourage people to do and focus on and stimulate your business. Doing business over the 20 years I've been doing business, every time I take the foot off the pedal of sales and marketing, my businesses have gone backwards. So in today's economic climate, sales and marketing are more important than you can ever imagine. So this has been a quick crash course conversation, and I put together this in the space of a week with interviews with my sales and marketing guy, my digital marketing guy, my Facebook advertising, to provide you with some incredible training, plug and play. You can get it straight into your business and maximize it, and takes massive value into your business absolutely immediately. And I thought in today's economic times, and I've interviewed the best of the best of the best business coaches in the world, leaders of premiership captains of sporting clubs, you know, you name it. I've been interviewing these people, and I want you to have this information so you can plug it into your business straight away and get instant results. On that note, extremely challenging times out there at the moment, and I want to just share my heartfelt to everybody that's doing it tough. And if you want to come along, jump on board the One Shot Movement Facebook group and introduce yourself and reach out. And I put all my high quality content in that group there. And that group there only started with the vision in January 2020 to be a vision to inspire people to live with passion and purpose. And over the last 2 to 3 weeks, the world's changed quite quickly. So I've quickly, the word pivoted gets used a lot, but I've quickly turned my focus on that group to more around some tactical and practical advice that I can give people in today's tough economic times. I have ridden the wave of a GFC. I've also, been doing business for 20 years. I've invested over $500,000 learning from the best guys in the world, from marketing, sales, business building, mindset, etc. So I want to give as much value as I possibly can. So connect with me, go to the One Shot Movement Facebook group, subscribe to my 40 business lessons on craigschulze.com, reply to this email, reply to me, connect with me, do whatever you can to reach out to me, and hopefully we all get through these challenging times together and rise at a rapid rate out the back end of it. So on that note, good luck, and we just wish you all the best. Bye for now.